Welcome to another episode of AI on the Edge. I'm Amar, founder CEO of Protecto. Today we have Sabry Loganathan. He's head of search and AI engineering and strategy advisor at Peloton. He has 18 plus years of experience in enterprise AI and digital transformation. Welcome, Sabry. A bit about Sabry. He's a frequent speaker of agentic AI, RAG, and AI governance. Has launched Gen AI platforms delivering 40% plus productivity gains and built global AI center of excellence. With the MBA from Kellogg, Sabry has the way to turn any technology into a business impact. With that, I'd love to get a little bit know about your journey. Tell us about yourself. We can start with that, then we can go into the deeper part of the conversation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for including me here, Amar. I'm so excited for this opportunity. You covered pretty much most of my the experience and my ethos. To add to it, I've been in this industry for a while. So I would say my entry door into AI is accidental. So the reason I emphasize that is it's not like AI is for an exclusive set of community. And the how I joined the AI is in 2017. I was working on a project where it opened the doors to unstructured data, document retrieval, and presenting the data in my web app and mobile app. And that project led me into vector store, vector search, semantic search, and all those technologies that is currently powering the generative AI systems. 2022, when the Gen AI came into the existence, this opened up my knowledge, 3 years of knowledge or 4 years of knowledge by then, has opened the doors to me into pursuing the generative AI career. And from then on, it's a history, learning every day and making sure that I'm up to date in the market information, so I can service my corporate clients and enterprises. So it's been a fantastic journey so far. I'm really excited to share my learnings here. And I'm also know that Amar, as a technologist and a multiple executive leadership over the career, I'm also open to learning from you in this conversation.
Thanks, Avi. Thanks. We can start with a quick icebreaker. Let me ask this question. Any recent AI news that you're very excited about?
100%. I mean, recent news itself is an interesting question,
Yes.
right? The
Right.
reason is every week there is hundreds of news happening in there.
Right.
And market is going crazy with the AMD making a deal with OpenAI. But
That's
my
true.
personal interest is in Google's Code Mentor. The
Mhm.
Google's Code Mentor is an interesting concept. It is solving an age-old problem in technology development within enterprises. We all know and we all hate when security teams throws us a ticket saying, "Hey, your code is having vulnerability." And
Mhm.
you have to prioritize between fixing that vulnerability versus the business requirement. And you kind of go to business and say, "Hey, security is asking me to fix it," and then business gets mad about it. So it's an
Right.
age-old problem of finding a balance of how do you fix the vulnerability. So what they are doing with the code mentor is it will be able to scan your code for the vulnerabilities and go and fix the code for low risk vulnerabilities and medium risk vulnerabilities if you let so. And then for high risk vulnerabilities, it'll provide you suggestions on what are the fix you can put in. So it's a good start in the right direction for the
Yeah.
securing the enterprise application.
And
So that's I'm
developers
really
hate it,
excited about.
right? Developers love building features, but anything you add to this, these are seen as overhead from a developer
Yes.
point of view. So you are actually
Yes.
automating some items they don't like at all. It's a good one. So we can
Yep.
start with the first question, Sabri. Based on your experience, this will be exciting for audience too, or a good learning for the audience. What makes building an AI app for enterprise very different than building a traditional app? What should we think about? What are the factors, or what are the consideration? What are the gotchas? You can cover some of those elements. It'll be very, very helpful for people building in AI.
No, that is a great question, Amar. It makes me think, right? So I will go back to this MIT report that came a couple of quarters back,
Right.
which kind of blew the industry, saying 95% of AI
Yes.
implementation is failing. So it is true, and it is also rather than taking it as a shocking revelation, we can take it as a point of learning. Why that is
Mhm.
happening? Why is that the
Mhm.
case? The more I took a look into it, where we fail is it's not about creating solution with AI. It's about creating the enterprise construct around that solution. So that is the most difficult part in implementing in the enterprise. So what I mean by that, let me give you an example. So we all have cars, and I have a love for car even from my childhood during my college days. Upgrading your car in India is a usual one. So especially the
Right.
audio systems, right?
Correct.
So your deterministic AI and application enhancements say, hey, I want this feature, I want this feature, I want a new web app, I want a new mobile app, I want an ERP system. Those are all like improving your car's aesthetics and functions that you can
Right.
enjoy, like putting in a new audio system, creating a new subwoofer, or creating a lighting around it. So you don't have to change much of your car's construct in order to
Right.
achieve those newer enhancements.
Yeah.
But when it
Yeah. It's
comes to
retrofit.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
AI is a systemic change. So it is like putting in a new engine into your car.
Mhm.
So putting in a new axle system into your car. So that means all the other system components of your car would have to work together to extract that power and make it work for you. Otherwise, putting in a Ferrari engine into your Honda Civic is not going to make your Honda Civic a Ferrari.
Ah,
So that
analogy,
is
Sabry. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
that's exactly what's happening with the AI to the enterprise. So if your AI needs to start delivering value out of the system, you have to start looking into your data, looking into your security, looking into your connectedness of your systems, and see how much of this is already working towards your AI, so that when the AI implementation happens, it's able to create value with those foundational activities already accomplished. The classic example is payroll system. For a traditional payroll system, is a classic rules of if then if
Right.
then do this, which
Right.
is a good system, like a determinist system you can implement and gain value. Whereas when you want to implement AI driven systems such as supplier supply chain forecasting with the supplier consolidation, by looking into their contracts and all the activities that they are feeding into you, it's a multi-model data set. Your documents, your images of your supply components that they are giving, your transactional data, and your forecast. So your ML engine has to complete the forecast, give you the details, and your historical data of the supply chain should give you all the different transaction happened, your
Correct.
multi-model analysis. So all these need to combine
Come
together to
together.
give
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
advantage in that area. So which
That
means
makes sense.
there's
Yeah.
a lot more foundational activities. So
Yeah.
going back to your question of what makes AI enterprise fundamentally different is these foundational activities. Start with your data,
Right.
and then focus on your people and skill set. Then focus on the connectedness of your system, not just the data. When I say
Correct.
systems, all the service oriented architecture.
Right.
Now agents using this consolidated data connected system and using your people skill set, boom, you will have more value coming out of it. So that's my take on how the building AI enterprise is different. And over the next 12 to 18 months, that's where the industry is going to focus heavily on how do I make the enterprise ready for the AI. It's not the AI ready for the enterprise.
Absolutely, you're right. So that's exactly, you nailed it on the head, Sabri. So it's not about retrofitting AI into something, which is very hard. Make the AI as the core and build around it, right? Make the AI as the core engine. Now you have to design. If you want to put a Ferrari engine, then your chassis has to change. You have to have that kind of a brakes. Everything has to go around it, has to change. I put an engine on a Honda Civic and expecting to perform like a Ferrari is like very different, right? So you're so right. So thinking of, instead of retrofitting, people find it easier to retrofit. For example, putting a conversational AI on top of an existing application. Yes, it adds value. I'm not saying it's not adding a lot of value, but you're not experiencing the full power of the AI, right? You're just having the structured data, putting some conversational UI on top of it. The
Yeah.
ultimate power is when you give complex data to it and let it
Yes.
process and let it give you insights that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten it, right? Or you put a lot of human effort, months of effort to get the results. So you're right. So we have to fundamentally think ground up AI first instead of retrofitting AI. Perfect. So let me go to the
Yeah.
next question. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah,
Can I add like one more topic, one more additional information? So I
yeah,
was part of the Microsoft AI tour event happened in Chicago. I was watching this keynote speakers. One of the speakers is a chief AI officer. I forgot his name. It's Deep, I think. Chief
uh-huh,
AI officer from Franklin Templeton.
uh-huh,
He nailed it exactly what you said. So re-engineer the flow. So
mhm,
it's not just putting the AI,
yeah,
figure out the flows, like create the work chart, how the work goes to different stages to create value for your companies. What are the valuable workflows in your companies? And then start that workflows and re-engineer it for the AI. So I want to
exactly.
emphasize that line. So
Yeah.
just throwing AI into a system doesn't work. You need to re-engineer it.
Exactly.
So,
Don't retrofit, re-engineer, right? That should be
yeah.
the thing, insight here. So let me go to the next follow-up question here is, one of the big challenges we hear on the customer side as well is getting the data quality. You trust some of these points like data quality and trust is a big challenge. So they could have other parts ready, but if they don't have the data quality, the data privacy, data protection, and the trust, so it becomes a big challenge. How should enterprise think about getting prepared for these kind of challenges? How should they think fundamentally different when they think about AI? That'll be a good topic to discuss.
That's a great segue into the next step, right? So we can keep carrying that Ferrari Civic analogy.
Yeah, yeah,
So now we have the engine of Ferrari, and we know that we need to redo things in our system. One of the major thing that you should be worried about is the fuel to the engine, right? So you need
right.
a good fuel to the engine
Yes,
for your
yes,
engine to perform. What is the good fuel for AI? Data.
right.
So how do I make sure my data is ready for the AI implementation? Is takes you back to your data foundations. So it is
Mhm.
not new. It is not something in the last 2 years. This has been preached by the industry from 2010, I believe, when the moment the big data started to resonate in the industry. These guidance were existing for a while.
Right.
So the important part is I'll put it into three easy to remember categories. So it can be a quick takeaway for anyone listening. Collecting and centralizing, that's the first part. So what are
Mhm.
the important transactional data and analysis data that you have in your system that is important for your business decision making? So that's all it starts, right? Reverse engineer from where the value happens. The value happens in the business decisions. Business decision needs reports or insights in order to make the
Yeah.
decision. So make sure what are the insights you need on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, on a yearly basis. And for those insights, what are the data that is supporting those insights? So start recognizing from the value chain rather than, hey, I have all these data, I need to put it in. Rather start from the background. So, okay, this is what my business rely on. And let me start collecting those data. So centralizing and collecting the data, there are multiple various technologies available, data lakehouse, data mesh, data mart. So based on where you are in your journey, you can always resort to one of the other technologies. The behemoths or the leaders in the spaces, Databricks, Data Fabric, or even Snowflakes. So these people are helping you to collate your data into a specific location,
Mhm.
and there are people who help you bring the data into this location, such as Fivetran and MindsDB and other people help you bring these data into this location. The second
Right.
stage is cleaning and standardizing. So this
Right.
one is very crucial and important, and this is where you will be losing more time and energy. So making sure your data is clean, without any errors, eliminating all the negative anomalies in the data sets, and making sure it is a clean data for your upcoming system. So this is called data engineering. You and me know it, or people who are watching. So data engineering is where you will be spending more time, and cleaning and standardizing. And then finally, labeling and verifying. This is important for your prediction machines, such as ML algorithms. And if you're going into your AI-driven approach, agents and agentic RAG approach, labeling may not be that important, but the metadata will be important for it to pull it from your vector store, any vector store you put. So all these, I'm talking just from the mechanics perspective. It's a area of its own. That's where Protecto shines as well. So it's not just bringing in the information, it's securing the information, making sure that information is ready for the enterprise and secured for the enterprise. So it's a wide and vast area. But if you want to just quickly remember, collect and centralize, clean and standardize, and finally label and verify. So once you do it, and definitely secure it. Once you do these 4 steps, you should be having that ready for your AI to consume it. It's easier said than done. So each stage has its own complexities based on how much data your enterprise is handling.
Yeah, makes sense. So now let's continue with the same analogy. Now you have the engine ready, you have the fuel. Now you start driving. So once you deploy, right, what risks matter, especially around security, drift, hallucination, privacy, all these risks starts coming in. How should we think about those risks, and what are the different things companies can do to take care of these risks in real world when they're live?
I think we should probably trademark our analogy. So we talked about the fuel. Now let's talk about the brake system, right? Brake system
Right.
and cooling system. Without that,
Yeah.
your car will explode or will ram into something else.
Yeah.
So that's a great
By the way, I'm
thing.
also a mechanical engineer, so I can totally understand. My undergrad is also in mechanical engineering. Then I did my master's in
Awesome.
computer science, but still I'm a mechanical engineer. Please
That's
continue.
that that's great. That's great. So who doesn't like the box on wheels?
Yes, right. Car is a good analogy. Yeah.
So when it comes to the securing the system, I always say this, I'm being in the Peloton security area. What is security? Let's start there, right? So because many people, many organizations, whether we like it or whether we like to say it or not, we tread when security team knocks at your door within your
Right.
company. It's like, okay, oh my
Absolutely.
God, what's happening?
Right.
Either you by fear or by like frustration. So, but in all essence, security is a risk management team in your company. So it is a friction in your system, but it is a necessary friction. So without which your system will overheat or will ram into something. So that it is to prevent failures and unforeseen problems in your system. That's whole reason security exists. And bringing that into the context of AI, how do we manage it? The AI, I am still uncovering and learning. There is a wide array of newer threat landscape. It is opening it up. So LLM, just the LLM or the transformer models alone relies on data. So
Right.
earlier discussion was, how do I secure the data? How do I unbias the data? How do I make it ethical? How do I make it reliable? And finally, how do I make the integration more secure between LLM and the data, so there is no PII and the data gets leaked into the LLM or stored into the LLM, and that can be retrieved. That was the initial focus area of the security based analysis on the AI. And that's where more companies are still concerned. But if you've seen in the last 12 months, the LLM usage just transformed from just giving a chat interface to a action interface and into the real world, into your enterprise world through agents. So that has completely opened up a door that's difficult to fathom about. So just in the LLM world, we talked about the data security management and data posture management. On top of it, you will have prompt injection problem, prompt poisoning problem, model poisoning problem. And I can share the GitHub link. The Microsoft Red Team users, they have compiled a set of prompts to say, hey, these are all the ways that malicious attackers can cause trouble to your models and transformers. So for a basic example is, hey, how do I create a bomb? It's going to say no. But if I say I'm taking a movie and I have an action sequence and I need to create a action where it is blasting, the hero is blasting, and then ask it to help you out, it is going to help you out because it is a different context. That's exactly the prompt poisoning is. You need to guardrail that, you need to protect that, you need to make sure alerted, and you need to prompt engineer it to stop it from happening. All these are just on the base of chat interface. Now coming into the agent interface. The agent interface is just another layer. You're now opening up your API access within your enterprise, outside of your enterprise, and you're giving an agency which is handing over the keys to say, go ahead and do these actions in the name of myself. What it mean by that, like one of the current, which I'm not aligned yet, which I feel like it should improve. The current industry standard is, if you want to secure your agents, give your RBAC control, IAM control to the agent. If agent is getting executed by Amar, then agent acts like Amar, goes and access the documents that Amar has access to, go and access the APIs that Amar has access to, and make the performance, which is a basic good level of thinking. It's better than nothing. But in my view, the security has to still level up to control the agent. Let's say the agent went wrong. How do you know that is it agent Amar did the issue, or is it Amar directly did the issue? There are many drawbacks in that approach, because you're assuming that agent is stronger, or agent does only what you ask it to do.
Correct.
You need to take that assumption out. If you take that assumption out, it opens up the threat to much more bigger landscape. So not going into it, that is a security threat on the agent side. And then finally, the model itself, right? It is a probabilistic model. All of us know it still hallucinates. It's a system design flaw, which we adapted to say it's a good feature for us, because the LLMs are trained to appease the trainer. So you have to give some good response. If you don't give a response, your model is deprioritized and the next model comes up. So all model has a basic system design problem, saying it has to give a response. That is how it is being trained on. So it will hallucinate. It will give you wrong in questions and answers. And even when you're doing a vibe coding, you should be very much aware of it, because don't just assume that it knows the output, because it is trained to give you something to help you answer. So you should always be an inquisitive questioner, and ask, why did it do it? And ask you a question of, hey, I thought this is another approach. Just try it out at the home. If you're vibe coding, just say, hey, okay, I like this approach, but I feel like give a wrong approach and say, I feel like this is the right approach to go towards. It will come back and say, oh, I'm sorry. I think, yeah, you're right. We should go with that approach. So it is still having that flaw. So be cognizant of it. That's a hallucination. Drift. Drift is another area of concern, because business doesn't stay still. Business changes, customer changes, customer data changes, business data changes. So all the information that your system is trained on, or prompt engineered, or tuned into will change. So you need to make sure your system, AI system, is updated with this newer information and tuned towards the newer information so that it is answering, it's helping you in the right way. So if you're
Yeah.
not accounting for drift, which is basically the change in data,
Yeah,
you will
absolutely.
be missing out you'll be, the AI will be pointing you in the wrong direction. So you will have Ferrari, you will have all the brakes and fuel, but you'll be driving in the wrong direction.
That's so true. That's so true. So the you touched on a very important point where VA at Protect are very passionate about, right? When we talked about security, that model of prompt, there is a model on one end, prompt on other end, and we call it something in between as context. This is how we see the world. Hey, there are a bunch of prompt security tools. They are sitting in the proxies. When some malicious attack comes, this is a good way to protect it against malicious attacks and things like that. It's good to have. Models, on the other hand, as you said, it has its own risk. It has safety risk. It has some other hallucination risk, those kind of risks. There are a bunch of tools to help with that. In between, there's a context where your data is getting shared, actions are getting taken, all those happening in the AI context. That's where Protector comes in. We secure that context so that your data is safe, you're compliant, and you are not taking privacy risk, compliance risk, or data leak risk. We bring in address some of the concerns you brought about role-based access. Very true. This role-based access, we call it context-based access control. We don't call it role-based because it depends on the context, right? For example, one of the customers, they are building an agent. It consumes a lot of sales, marketing, go-to-market data, and both sales and marketing team access the data, right? So they are going to ask a similar questions. You cannot say don't answer any of these questions. It doesn't work that way because most of the questions are going to be sales and marketing, but some parts of discount data is secure or it has to be protected. Sales can see it, but marketing can't, right? Now, based on the question who's asking, what is the topic? So you are going to determine should I show this discount details or not? So this happens at the context. And if you think I can do it at the prompt, technically you can because this can take an action on it. So if you look at just at the prompt and the response, you miss the whole action part of agent. So that's where the agent at the risk. You're right. So that's the great framework. We also push the same framework. Hey, there is prompt, there is a model, there is a context. Secure your context. That's where Protector fits in. So with that, let's go a little deeper into. We have covered majority of the different risk, especially drift. Drift is another big area, and we can have another session on the drift and hallucination itself. Recently, I posted about hallucination. Like you said, it's a sort of a bug or a inherent nature of the way we train the model because if you even the wrong answer, if you're guessing what is Sabry's date of birth, right? If I say no, I get 0 points. But I randomly guess one out of 365 days, I have a chance of 1 in 365 to be right. So I'll rather take that risk as a model. So why will I say
That
no? I just
exactly.
take the risk because I'm not getting penalized for a wrong answer, right? So it is built to not say no and instead of think of an answer that leads to hallucination, and we call it as a feature. It's okay, I like it, but because it gives a variety of answers, it's okay. But when it comes to enterprise risk, it
Context,
matters.
yes.
Yeah. So the final question, we covered most of the things. The final area I want to touch is anything we haven't covered becomes important, especially when we touch regulated industries like healthcare, finance, any of the risk. In addition to what we have talked, you can bring it up. Then that will be a good way to close the session.
That's a good way to definitely come to a closure, right? So I'm thinking through the regulated industries, so healthcare, finance, insurance. All those are, it starts with the privacy controls of your data. So data is your fuel, and it's where everything relies on. And the moment you lose your data into your to the wrong hands, you not only impacts your customers, it impacts your brand, and it causes a lot more damage than we expect. So the first point I will introduce is embed compliance and explainability of your for the AI system from the ground up. So do not, if you are in a regulated industry, first thing for you to, when the business problem comes to your desk, is not about a solution, it's about data. What data you're going to use for this problem, and what are these data's governance and controls in your company? Meaning you will have um, data governance saying, okay, this is a high risk, low risk, red, amber, yellow, green. So make sure that if you're dealing with the red or amber data, make sure that you follow your regular compliance protocol. So start with your data before going into your solution. So knowing that, okay, what data you're dealing with, start the solution with compliance and security in the mind. So your solution should start with, where am I going to store it? How am I going to secure it? How am I going to obfuscate it, hash it? How am I going to call the LLM? And how the LLM context are saved, the questions and the answers are saved, and where it is saved, how it is going to be protected. And is there a way, is the LLM within your boundaries of hyperscalers like Azure or GCP, or is it outside of your boundary? If outside of the boundary, what is the standard? What are the protocols? So make sure you are completely thorough in terms of basically start your solution with compliance and security in the mind. Don't just go into the solution and then worry about it, because you're going to spin wheels doing that. So that's second step. The third step is ethical AI designing, right? So what it mean by it should be explainable, it should be non-biased, and it should be handling all the prompt poisoning, other activities happening inside it. So how can I make sure that responses are ethical? That's where the prompt engineering comes in, context engineering comes into the play. So, and every activity of the AI should be recorded for auditability. So in your deterministic system of services and APIs, you have traces and data and state management databases to handle that auditability. When it comes to AI, you have to codify that auditability into your system. So if it is a thinking model or a reasoning model that you're using, its reasoning and thinking should be embedded into your auditable trace. If it is making actions, agent calls, it's calling action, and your output should be the intermittent output should be auditable trace. So make sure your system is explainable and auditable along with bias control. So
Absolutely.
finally, it's continuous monitoring for drift. So because you're in an regulated space, your data and your consumer data will keep changing. If you're an insurance, the customer will change, the insurance risk score will change, underwriting policies will change. So make sure you control the drift, you have a good monitoring system in place for AIs with alerts for anomaly actions that's happening. So putting all together, start with data and infuse security and compliance from this day one of the solution. Have a full control of data governance and ethical AI designing with explainability and auditability, continuous monitoring for drift and alerts and incorrect usage. So these four is a non-negotiable in a regulated industry. So you have to have this. So that's my take on how
Makes sense.
AI should be handled in a regulated
Makes
industry.
sense. Totally, totally makes sense, Sabri. One of the things I tell customers is AI apps are still regulated as a regular app, right? A regular application you're building, a HIPAA applies, your GDPR applies, your any DPDP or PDPL, all those regulations, the data sovereignty rules still applies to your AI applications. One of the things about HIPAA is how do you prove it as a technical controls, right? How are you protecting, de-identifying patient health data? So all these proofs you need. So auditability, traceability, all these things, explainability becomes a important cornerstone of any enterprise AI, especially in regulated industries. Yeah,
I
go
have
ahead.
one thing to add. So this is an interesting point came in another conference where I was discussing, like,
Mhm.
hey, what are the AI compliance regulations available I should follow? So if I am compliant to
Yeah,
that AI regulation, I should be protected, right? So big, huge warning. The AI solutions in the enterprises strides ahead of compliance team.
correct.
So please, in this context, please don't resort to whatever is currently provided is good enough, because
Right.
that may not be good enough. So as you
Correct.
said, make sure you cover all the regular compliances, GDPR, COPA, and other HIPAA, everything. And then, yeah, definitely go for the given AI compliance, but strive to be try to excel in your governance area rather than being a retrofitting. So
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
just want to give that point.
Absolutely. So this is a very important point, Sabri. So what any industry, industry is ahead of compliance in many cases because it takes some time to understand even what the risk. And AI is especially miles ahead. It's going really fast. Um, and even from a regulator's point of view, what do you regulate on, right? Yeah, billion parameter model will look like a tiny speck when you compare to a trillion parameter model, right? We don't know what parameter model will be in the future. So even the parameters matter, right? Now what happened
Yes.
to microchips, right? So we won't know how the technology is evolving. So the compliance will lag many years, rightfully. So in that case, your existing controls, existing compliance still applies. That protects your customer, that protects you, and protects your data. So the uh, sticking to those controls definitely help you to address some of the risks here. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah,
Awesome.
this is fantastic, Sabri. Thanks for your time. I learned a lot, and it was a good analogy. I'll keep repeating the same analogy you mentioned. Like you said, probably you should trademark it, put it in a website. Hey, this is, if you want to say anything, explain AI using Ferrari's Honda Civic, you have to give credit to Sabri. So, this is a very fun half an hour good discussion about AI. Love to have you back some other time as well. Um, Thank you again.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Amar. I really enjoyed this session.
Thank you. Bye,
All right.
listeners.